Welcome in, guys. It is Book Talk Talk. We are here with the amazing Rowena Raiden, author of Eve Dellinger is Quite Odd. An amazing book. Very good book. We love this book, by the way. Not
Thank you.
We're not sure we like every now and then there's gonna become to a point which like you wrote a book.
Oh no, I don't want to be the person on the other side of the camera at that point.
It has to happen. There's going to come a point where, like, cause so we've done book clubs. We've done a book club for a while, and there definitely are a few books where it was just like, well, good thing they're not coming in for an interview.
Where you just say a bunch of words, you're like, that was a thing and stuff happened. Yes.
Yes. However, that's not the case here. We love this
thank
book.
Goodness.
We absolutely loved Eve Dellinger. The character's fantastic. We loved how this book came together. Everything was very, very cute and well done. And then it wasn't, because you hurt us. Why did you hurt us? It was such, everything was pretty. And then I was not to give, we don't try to give up spoilers there, but like I got to a certain point of the book, I'm like, oh, everybody's happy. And then I'm like, we're only like a third of the way into the book. Oh no.
People say this often. They'll message me and be like, I'm like 13 chapters in and the female MC and male MC are together and they seem good. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what do you mean? Yeah. I'm like, oh no, just wait. I'm not going to tell you anything. Just wait. It's not one of those books where it builds up to them being happy. Like they find that they're like achieving happiness and then everything just gets, tumbled and thrown away.
It did.
And they have to find it again.
It did. And then it took a very dark turn and but it's still amazing book. One of the things I really wanted to talk to you about is your writing style. Your book, there was poetry in the book. However, the rest of the book felt very much in a poetic prose. If you know what I'm talking about. What was your decision on that, and how did that come about?
Honestly, I don't think that I am capable of writing without poetic prose because all of my favorite authors are just kind of poetic prose writers. Like Holly Black is my favorite all-time writer. Like she's my all over inspiration. And yeah, Rachel Gillig, like a lot of the writers that I love write with this very dark poetic prose. And I just love it. It feels very like fairy tale, but also I find it so easy to connect with. There's just something about it. The overall vibe, like it just sucks me in. And I like being consumed by a story. And I feel like when people write like that, like I'm immediately there. I'm paying attention, hanging on to every word. And I wanted my readers to feel that too.
You did that. Everything was fantastic, and then it wasn't. But even when things were going horrifically bad, there was still a human touch to it, and still, even though things were going horrifically bad, there was still that hope in the writing, and it made us feel like, okay, it was like a safety blanket. If there's your writing is kind of like a safety blanket in terms of the style, where it's just like, oh man, things are going absolutely bad, but I think she's gonna make sure that we're okay.
For a while, at least.
For a while. For a new adult book, there were a lot of heavy topics in this book that were pushed together and taken, and I appreciate how well you brought those to the forefront without like beating us over the head on them, but also not like using them in an exploitive manner. So how did you do that kind of tiptoe? Because again, there's a lot of like deep things in here. How did you approach those topics in a way of, I would say, reverence? I think, I'm not sure if the right word, but like similar to that. So take us through that process, because like I know I'm treating you like an author that I don't know, even though I know you and I know the answer for the most part. I want to let you say it.
So this question, there are two-part answers. So I tackled it directly on. I gave all of these characters, I separated my grief and kind of dispersed it amongst all of them so that I could heal through their perseverance. So that was part of it. But this book is new adult more towards young adult. They don't turn 18 until book 2. And so I really wanted to capture the essence of teenagers. So while these characters are very mature because they're going through so much heavy trauma, I wanted them to feel very authentic. They're mature, but they're still in high school. So they're being driven by their hormones and all these other things. But I have a big problem with when authors will throw heavy topics into a book for strictly drama, like the gasp, jaw drop, like moment. Like, if it does not fit the character development or the plot development, I'm not going to put it in my story. And I really wanted to write this book in a way that all these characters had their own very different, unique sets of trauma, but while they were going through it, it could bring them all together. So that's kind of what I was trying to do. I think I did it pretty well.
I think you did a very good job. A lot of these things, I had guessed certain things were happening in the book, and I was just like, oh, I know where this is going. This is gonna hurt. And then you gave it to us, but in a very, very different package. So I like that
Yeah.
you left the breadcrumbs there, but also it was just like, ha, you thought you were eating bread.
So
Surprise.
I have this weird thing about loss and grief and tragedy. I think that when people are in like the trenches, deep, deep in the trenches, sometimes they forget all the beautiful, very small moments that happen when you are grieving. Something as subtle as like getting to hold someone's hand or having someone be kind to you that usually wouldn't. Like, I'm talking really small little things. And when you are in the trenches, sometimes a lot of those things will happen and you will just kind of like skim over them. You don't really notice. So I wanted to write a book that is very dark, but I wanted to highlight the like unique little beautiful moments that people do get to have. And I also wanted to write my trauma in a way that could be perceived as beautiful. Because what happened to me, I wrote this book while I was in the trenches. I was grieving so heavily. They had to put me on antidepressants. I was on so much stuff just to be able to manage day to day life. And I wanted to be able to look at my tragedy and say, like, wow, there were moments in that were profoundly beautiful. Things that I would never have gotten to experience if I hadn't have suffered so deeply. And so I wanted to express that in my book because there are little moments and there are beautiful gifts that are born from darkness. So yeah. Mhm.
I know a lot of people do the character insert kind of thing, but you said so yourself that you broke your grief into a lot of different characters into the book. Where would you feel that you put like the most of yourself into your characters?
Oof. That is really hard. So people always think it's Eve. They always guess it's Eve. But one of the things that I love about Eve's character the most is that I didn't want her to come from like a broken family because not every heroine comes from a broken family. There are some that their grief or their trauma is strictly dynamically just their own, It wasn't influenced by their parents or someone else in their family. It was something that individually just happened to only them. And so I wanted her to own her trauma. I didn't want her to push it on anyone. I wanted her to know that it was hers and she had to learn to grow through that without being able to say that it was like something kind of like thrown at her. So a lot of people think that it's Eve, but it's not. I would say it is a hard toss up between Aiden and Becca. Definitely Becca.
I could see Becca.
um
I could see Becca just
yeah.
because of how I know you. I could see Becca. Surprisingly, ended up becoming one of my favorite characters, even though at the very beginning of the book, mm, just no.
The text
And
messages I received for that, people saying like, "I absolutely hate this character," and then like 3 days will pass, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, I feel so bad. I love her. Like, I take it back. Like, I didn't mean it."
I remember texting you
I love
specifically.
that.
I remember texting you specifically. Like, I don't trust her. I don't trust her at all. I don't like her.
No.
Something's wrong with her. I don't trust this thing that's happening in the book. I don't trust it. I don't like her. I don't like her. She's got on my radar. And then like towards the end of the book, I'm like, Becca's got this. We're good. We got Becca's Becca's got our back. Becca's got everybody's back. We're good. So I love that kind of writing, is that you can give us such an hateable character that we will end up loving.
You know, I actually got I think the only bad feedback I have gotten back from this book was that people wanted Becca more involved in the very ending. And
Okay.
they're like, "Oh, well, like, Becca wasn't there for this and this." And it's like, okay, we have a lot going on in this. And Becca's got a lot going on in general. So we weren't going to just pile that on top of her. And for the people who may be watching this that have wondered that, Becca is huge in book two. Her growth is, it's one of my favorite things about the duology. Honestly, I love Becca's growth. And you are going to have another character that you think you absolutely hate, and they're going to surprise you. And the way that Becca responds to that character, I'm telling you right now, you're gonna be like mind blown. It's like my favorite thing about book two.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm looking at you
So
sideways.
very vague.
Mhm. One of the things I do love, my favorite character in the book is Gwen. Gwen is very much like, that's my dude. Love Gwen. However, I will give a big honorable mention to Eve's parents. Like, you really made Eve's whole family feel like a family, dealing with like the movie nights and things. But it didn't feel corny. It didn't feel contrite or weird. It felt very natural and very Hallmark without being cheesy Hallmark. If you I'm trying to explain that correctly. So, how did that come about? Because again, we most of the time, I mean, anybody I would say over the age of 30 that used to watch, like, consume movies and things like that, any kind of what I would call a Disney kid, we usually don't have that, because it was just like, oh man, Bambi's mom, oh, and then bad things happen, and then,
Bambi's
oh
my favorite
man,
one.
yeah, like Big Hero 6, oh man, older brother, oh no. So I do appreciate that you gave us a solid group of characters that did not die. I don't really think that's a spoiler, because they're ancillary characters. So ancillary characters, I feel that you can give some spotty
That's
things here.
fine. I can't promise you that they'll all be fully intact in the next book. Sorry. Trust me, I'm just as upset about it as you are. I won't tell you.
The camera's not frozen. This is just me. You no
Sorry.
no no
I know
no.
it's hard because they're all so lovable that it's like any one of them I feel like is just,
I am
oh yeah.
going to be dreading the next book now.
No, you won't. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, I would never
I
kill someone off in not the most beautiful poetic way ever. Okay, so it's gonna make you cry a lot.
You
I
already
struggled with
made me
it.
cry. Just letting you know, this book did make me cry. I was sad, mainly because of the prose. The prose was fantastic, and that kind of like sucked me into the story and everything like that. And there was a moment there where I cried, and I was not happy that I cried, because I'm sitting in a parking lot under a tree, just like bawling, and people were coming out of like Planet Fitness, like, why is that dude crying in a car? And I'm like, I can't tell you, dude, because I'm not going to spoil the story for you, but like, book made me cry.
If it was me sitting outside Planet Fitness, it would have been thinking about pizza. I would have been crying. Why are you crying? Because I just really love pizza and I can't have it. So oh, I love that. Actually, so when I was writing Eve Dillinger, I didn't really have a good workspace. So I would actually go to the old coffee shop that I used to manage. And the owner, he's really sweet. He would let me sit at the stone tables and I would sit there and I would write on these like tables. And people would drive by and they look over and I'd be fully bawling, especially when we're talking chapters like, chapter 18 through like 24 is just
Mhm.
solid tears. Like there was not a chapter that I could get through where I was not crying. And especially some of the ones targeted around Becca. It was really hard. I think I rewrote that single chapter probably 20 times, and then I gave it to my editor, and she was like, "I feel like you're holding back." And I was like, "Yes, I'm holding back. I can't take any more." And she was like, "Okay, you just gotta let it go." And so then I dove into it all over again, and she read it, and she was like, "I've never cried at a book. Like, I'm a stone faced, and I cried so hard at that chapter." And I was like, "Oh, good. Did I let it go?" She's like, "Yeah, you let it go. You let it way the fuck go."
Good job, Elsa. You let it go.
Yeah, I did. I just had to. It was hard though. I literally like there was moments where I'd have like snot like running down my face. I'd be like hyperventilating. Like that chapter. It's an intense one. And there's definitely a chapter like that. Probably several in book two. There is a chapter in that that's actually harder for me to write than that chapter in book one.
I don't know if
So
this is a selling point for me. It's like, hey man, you remember this book that made you cry? It made you very sad. Like, you strap in.
but it always ends happy. I'm not one of those people who will end on a sad note. I won't do that to you. So that's something I can promise you.
Okay.
I won't do it. I mean, I will end you on a wait, what the fuck? No, but not a like, aw.
Which you did. Which you did. You set us up very nicely for book two.
I
But
couldn't not do that to you. So,
that's fair. Speaking of
because I
book
care.
two, what do you have in mind? What kind of morsels can you give us about book two? And
Oh, I'm excited for this question.
okay.
So one, Aiden is usually, in book one, he's like this kind of beacon of hope, even though he has all this really intense trauma. Aiden's character is always thinking of others, always going out of his way to make sure that everyone is okay, kind of ahead of himself. That carries over into book two, except for that kind of lightheartedness. That's gone a little bit. He gets a little bit darker, because he's doing a lot of self-reflecting after I mean, he went through a lot in book one, so we
That
gotta give him a break.
was a lot. It was a lot. Some very
So
after school
there's
special
that.
kind of thing. Very like very Saturday morning like special thing, or what was it, like an afternoon special? It was like an after school special. I got there and I'm like, I've seen this after school special. I don't like it.
No. Yeah, so there's some darkness with that, but trust me, he's gonna be okay. I guess that's a spoiler. Aiden, I don't think he's the one that gets, taken out. But another thing about book two that I'm really excited about is this is a mystery thriller. Eve Dillinger is a paranormal urban fantasy slash thriller, but we're going to be leaning really heavy on the mystery thriller side for book two. And you will also be getting a new perspective
Okay.
that is not Eve's. And it's also someone that you're not super familiar with. And
Okay.
they're a bit creepy. They're a little spooky and scary.
Okay. Trying to think for the book. I'm like, have they been
I told you that I
introduced?
hid some Easter eggs. You have been
Okay.
introduced to them.
Okay.
But you are not going to expect it. There are people in book one who you probably like, who you're going to find some things about in book two. And there are people who you expect to not be good, and they're probably going to surprise you in book two. But I really like this new perspective. It is not like every other chapter we're switching narrative. It is like one in I think like five or one in 10. So it's not super often. You're only getting glimpses. Um, kind of because they're a little bit of a stalker. That's all I'll say. There might be some stalking, who knows? And the end is Aiden's family moves into a new house. And, it's an old house. So things come with that when you have a
No.
girl who can see ghosts.
No.
And Eve is going to discover some things, and that's actually going to lead her down a path that's a way bigger discovery than she's actually looking for. And it's going to blow up. And a lot of things are going to come to light. But it's fun because we also have Eve, and she's learning to harness her abilities and stuff, and she's getting really confident, and she's decided that she's not fucking around anymore, and she's just ready to take everything on.
Okay.
So I'm really excited for that.
Okay. So this book's coming out like next week then, right?
No,
No.
you
Oh,
have to wait for one book release first. We have a book releasing before Eve Dillinger Volume 2.
oh no, you're one of those authors that was just like, hey, I got some extra stuff in between while you're waiting.
That's not what it was. I'm so sad about killing off a character that I love so much that I haven't been able to fully write that bit. I know what has to happen and everything, but I've just been like, I'm just gonna wait until the very last minute to have to do that. People always say like, "Oh wow, writers are so heartless," you know, like they can just kill off all these characters that we get invested in and love, and it's like, do you think that doesn't hurt us? Because I had to write that scene like 20 times of killing off a person that is like my favorite character. So just so you know, the pain is double-sided and worse. It's actually worse over here. I'm not one of those authors that can be like, hey, you, no, dictator style, you're gone. That's not me. I'm like just like snot crying, sadly eating popcorn, holding on to stuffed animals. So
Yeah, no, that's me. That's 100% me. It was just like, oh my god, I get to make this hurt so bad. Yay. I've
yeah,
I mean, you've read the first chapter of Grayscale.
yeah, I was really not expecting that. Went from 0 to 100 really fast. Like
Disney,
I
Disney kid.
no, was like, wait, what? I think I like read it like 3 times actually because I like read it and then I was like, no, this isn't. These aren't even the characters. Oh, 1 second, and then I went back and I was like, oh no, okay, goodbye. I'm sorry.
I
This is
think it
very
co-
early grief.
yeah. I think it comes from horror writing that I just like I create expendable characters so often that look, I'm not trying to say that I don't love these characters. I love these characters. However, I'm very like old Yeller style where it's just like, well, gotta take them out back and just kind of that's how it goes sometimes.
At least tell them to close their eyes or, do like the Walking Dead thing. Say,
I
look at
tell
the
him to look at the
flowers.
flowers. Yes, it's like look at the flowers. Click.
God, that scene is gonna haunt me for the rest of my life.
What it
Now I have to
is.
watch it.
Yes, look at the
Yeah,
flowers.
I
Click.
I'm not one of those writers. I'm really not. I can't even read certain scenes out loud because like that's how I like to check things. I will read them. Actually, I read them to my dad. He's the cutest. I read him every single chapter of Eve Dillinger up to like 30. He actually hasn't heard the very end of that book. I think because I'm gonna traumatize him a little bit. We're getting there. We're working up to it. But I usually read them out loud, and there is certain chapters like the one that's coming in book 2, I cannot say the dialogue for that chapter out loud. Like, it's not possible. People are like, "You should narrate your own book." And I'm like, "Yeah, no.
No, that's
That's a great
okay.
idea."
Would you like to get Eve Dellinger as an audiobook?
I definitely do. I think that it's not going to happen though until I have all 3 books released. So Eve Dillinger is a duology, but I also have a really cute novella planned that just
Okay.
follows her. That's it gives very supernatural vibes, is kind of what I've been told. Um, so you find out something in book 2 that's been hinted at in book 1, and so I've taken that and twisted it into like kind of like a fun short novella where she's basically like going around and ghost hunting and
Okay.
helping like, you know, help lost souls. But it's like really fun and adorable and it's not long. But I think that I'm going to release all 3 and then consider, choosing a narrator. I do have people in mind that I like, and a few people have picked up my book and done little readings and stuff on
Mhm.
TikTok. And it gives me goosebumps every time someone else reads my own book, and I think that's also why I wanna have it done. My family has a recording studio, and they're actually building a house closer to us, and they're putting in a recording studio. So everyone keeps trying to pressure me into it. They're like, "You should narrate your own book, do it." And I'm like, "I don't know that I'm not gonna get that, like, fun just feel of
Mhm.
getting to hear someone else read it." And like I said, I would have to pause like 1,000 times because because I'd be choking up, and I don't know. That
I
sounds
don't.
stressful.
Yeah, I don't know if authors should do that. I mean, I'm sure there are that there are some authors that have done it and have done it very, very
It's a
well.
new big thing.
But audiobooks are kind of a different animal.
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh, it's just an audiobook. They're reading the book. No, they're acting the book. The book is not read to you. And I've definitely had a couple of audiobooks where they just read it. I'm like, this is a terrible. I don't know. Like, I don't. It's like they have been just like absolutely terrible books. And I'm like, I'm sure if I read the book would be fine. But the audiobook, and I will take this to my grave on who those audiobooks were, but they are not all created equal. So
No,
I will not be
definitely
one of
not.
those people throwing my hat in the ring and be like, I'm gonna go narrate my own book. No, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually, so background story, I used to do stage acting and I had an agent when I was younger. And I literally moved and did all this stuff because I was going to pursue that. And then I didn't like it. I didn't
Okay.
like the pressure, but I do love stage acting. And so when my kids are older, that is something that I'm definitely going to start doing again. So I do have a whole acting background and I do really enjoy it. But I don't know. Like I said, I really just want that like goosebump feeling of getting to hear someone else put their voice, their emotion into my book and get to enjoy it, without having to do all that work. So
Mhm.
it's not gonna feel the same way if it's me reading it. But with that said, it is going to be really hard selecting a narrator because like you said, I don't like it when they're like more monotoned. Like I definitely want that inflection and stuff like in their voice. So it's gonna be hard choosing someone.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm with you there. The book that I have currently in production right now is fantastic, and Danielle, my narrator, she does such a good job that like I will get like creeped out, and I'm like, oh wait, I wrote this. I did
Right?
that.
That's the feeling I want. I
Yeah,
want that.
yeah. She is doing an amazing job, and she has made me forget that I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote that. I, there was one of them where it was just like, oh my god, what's happening? What's gonna happen next? I'm like, I wrote it, you dumb bitch. I'm
You
like,
know
I'm
what's
fine.
gonna happen.
I know what's gonna happen. But like it was so well done that it took me out of it, and like I completely forgot that I wrote the book, and it was like, oh, okay, that works. I understand now.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, too, I don't know what the budget would be on it, but I love dramatized audio.
Oh, strings.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Oh,
we're talking. Yeah. So I said, I don't know what type of budget that would take. But like if I'm going to go through all of it, like and I'm going to wait until the third book to release anyways, I feel like I might want to invest in something like that because it would be so much fun.
I can see full cast. Full cast audios might work. Might be better dramatized, but it just feels like it's so expensive. I can only imagine how just insane like when we talk about like Akatar or Fourth Wing, amazing dramatized audios, but like man, this has got to be like thousands of dollars per like finished hour, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, I literally told like people have asked, I don't plan on making any money off of my first books, like off of my duology and the novella. Like I'm literally just using all that money to like fund straight back into it.
Mm,
I don't really plan on making anything until I put out my second book. I have a whole series outlined that's going to be big. I feel like once that gets released, then I can start to like be like, "Oh, okay, let's see some income come in." But until that, like I'm not expecting anything. I really am just using it to like better and like produce my books. So, oh, I would love to be able to do that and have leftover. That sounds great. But we're not there yet.
yeah, we're indie authors. I don't know if you know this, but we don't have the backing of like Penguin Random House behind us.
No, no.
So as on that topic of indie authors, a lot of people don't realize how what goes into writing a book and editing a book and publishing a book, and every author kind of has their own different pitfalls, their own kind of story about where certain things might be very easy for this author, and then like this author is going through the same thing but has a like a horror story on that. So give us an idea of like what it took to get Eve from conception to market. It's like
Oh gosh.
I still know some of these stories, and I'm just like, let's see how this goes.
So the first thing, whenever I get asked this question, I think of that audio immediately where they say, "It's hell in there. It's horror. You are not going to enjoy this." Like, that kind of audio. That's exactly where my mind goes because it was hell. I've always been great at telling stories. Like, I can think of a whole story beginning to end, plot twist, everything, and I can sit down and write an outline. I am definitely a plotter. And I love outlining books. I literally can just like really thorough too, to where I know exactly chapter by chapter. But filler and going in there and then creating this dialogue, that is a whole different beast. Okay. And that is a beast I did not have practice at. And so I wrote my outline for Eve, and it was, first of all, my first draft was humongous. There was so much show and tell because it was my first book. And I wrote it over the period of like 4 years while I was grieving. Um, and I always knew what I wanted, but it was just such an emotional thing to write that I had to take breaks from it. Cause like I literally would just have moments where I had to just set it down and be like, I need space from this trauma. But I wrote it and then I was like, I'm going to try submitting it because we actually had a local publishing house. And so this is between us and whoever is watching. So basically everyone. I sent it to her and she did not get back to me. She did it first. She said she was really interested in my story. And then I sent it to her. And so then after that, I was like, I'm gonna like sit down and like go through this and see what's wrong. And then I was like, oh my God. First of all, just everything. Everything is wrong. Like, it's a good story, but I knew nothing about line editing. I knew nothing about sentence structure. So while I had like the guts of what is a good story, I had no idea how to display it. So I took so many classes. A tool that I always tell people to use is go onto Fictionary. You don't have to pay for the program or anything. You can use all the free tools that they have. But I actually got into an author class, and one of the authors there, she was becoming a editor to was basically working on Fictionary, and she was like, "Don't pay for anything. Just go on there, and you can watch so many tutorials. They have authors come on there all the time and do live videos and tell you about like editing and certain stuff." And it's amazing. It's an amazing tool to have like at your hands and you're not having to pay for it. And then if you want to, you can literally do like a free trial and you can upload your entire book in the amount of time you have that free trial and it will tell you things that you need to work on, like all these different things. It goes through chapter by chapter. It's amazing. It is an amazing tool. But so I did that and I watched 1,000 videos, 1,000 seminars, so many hours. Like I stayed up so late, so many nights. And I taught myself everything. I taught myself sentence structure and line editing and everything that you could possibly learn. I sat and did it. My grammar is still not, it's not perfect. We're not there yet. But you should have seen it when we started. It was crazy. Yeah, big change. But there's so many tools and things that are you have at your fingertips if you can just go online. Even if you go on YouTube, like you can Google anything these days, but definitely teach yourself. Go and do it. Do not look at your manuscript. I don't care if you've literally edited it 3 times through. Like if you're going and you're not able to completely read it all the way through without like stopping and your flow isn't there, there's something wrong. You need to stop and you need to go back and you need to have a 20 different sets of eyes look at it.
Yeah, I think alphas and betas are really kind of overlooked. Uh, like I've had some people that like, oh yeah, I didn't do this. I put the book together and then I put it out. I'm like, I could tell.
Yeah, honestly, so I have this weird fear of having my work stolen. And it's still something that like really freaks me out. But I didn't do ARC readers because I was so worried that someone was going to steal my writing. And I am doing, even though I've heard some horrible horror stories recently of people actually having problems with their arc readers. I am still going forward, but I really trust my arc team. I know all these people. I think they're great. I don't think anyone's gonna, do anything bad, but I am going to have arcs this time and I'm really excited about it because it's hard when you are only going to people who you know and who have read your work prior because I feel like there's just that whole bias thing where they're going to assume like that it's good. They're like this is great. I love her. She's such a sweet like compassionate person. Her writing's awesome. Like I don't want that. I
Mhm.
want someone to be harsh with me. And you get that when you have newer people looking at your work. And I want the real.
Yeah, I've had a couple of authors that like I've sent some stuff to, and they're just like, "Oh, that's really really good." However, here this. I'm like, "Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm glad you didn't just be like, awesome, go,
I actually
go,
had
Paul."
I had this experience the other day. One of my really, really close friends, she's releasing a new book. And so she was like, will you please look over my book blurb and tell me what you think? And so she sent it to me and it was great. Like she had some really strong hooks in her blurb, but it wasn't organized quite right. Like she needed to move things around. And so I was like, what if we take this and we put it down here and then we make this a question because we want them to answer that. We're not trying to tell them. We want that to ask the question, then be like, oh my gosh, I don't know. What is it? That's why we have to read this book because we need to find out what the answer is. And so there was like a little bit of show and tell in her blurb, but I was really nervous to like tell her all of this. And I was like, do you want the honest answer or do you want the
Yeah,
happy answer? And she was like, no, I want the honest answer. And so I told her, and then we tweaked one sentence and I changed it around a little bit and I sent it back to her. And she was like, I love this so much. This is perfect. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. And it just wasn't exactly coming out right. And so I needed you to come in and tell me that. And I was like, great, because I was like sweating giving you my feedback. So nervous, but I'm happy that I did. It's
I
hard
look,
sometimes.
it is like I say, like I said, I sent you my first chapter, and you're like, this is great. However, this section right here, this is just a giant wall of text. It's just gonna make everybody hate you. And I'm like, oh yeah,
Say it like that.
that is a giant wall of text that's gonna make people hate me. I know you didn't actually say it that way, but you get the point where I was just like, oh yeah, this is just a giant wall of text. Did you forget the paragraphs exist? And I'm like, maybe I did forget that a paragraph existed.
Okay, so one of the reasons I'm so harsh on that is because that's one of the things I had to learn. And when I sent off my first, oh my God, like it was like I'd edited it like 3 times, but I did not know anything quite yet. I was just winging it so hard. When I sent that off and then I went back, I was like, there's like no spaces in here. Like it was just huge. Like we were having like 8 sentences and just on. And I'm like, this is not what my books look like. Like I'm a huge reader. And then my dad asked me that. He was like, well, what are your favorite authors? Like, how is their stuff? How is it structurally edited? And I was like, that is a very good question, Paul. I really you and my dad share the same name. I was like, I should probably go and look at that. And I did. I went through every single one of my favorite writers' books and I sat and I looked at how they did it, at how their pacing was because my pacing naturally flows. It's really good, but I was just blocking it together. And so it was really taking away from my pacing because people weren't having that nice like natural pause in there.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I changed it so much. I actually broke it down and then I was like, this still isn't enough. And I broke it down more.
Yeah,
It took,
I became like really self conscious about that one point, and I was just I've gone through it. I'm like, too long, too long, too long. We'll break it up here. We'll break it up here. We'll break it up here. I'll add this sentence in here so that way I can break it up here, and things. So like, I'd actually like to see what you think about the first chapter now, as opposed to
I'm
what it was before.
excited.
Yeah, I might actually send that to you after we get done here. But
I would love to read it.
I just forgot. I was like, oh yeah, you helped me at the very beginning, and then I've not told you anything since. I was just like, oh wait, I should probably do that.
I did get to read one of your spicy chapters later in the book, which was a little confusing because I didn't have context.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second, these characters are all of a sudden together.
Well,
Hold
yeah.
up.
At that point, you hadn't even met that particular character. It was just like,
Yeah,
wow,
no.
there's a lot of context there.
Yeah, the one I did, but they were much younger at the time, so that would have been weird. And yeah, but I will say that one of the things I noticed immediately about your sex scene was the dialogue was very well written, and it was also inserted at really good times, like in
Aw.
the pause. Like it wasn't forced. I'm really weird about like forced dialogue during like romantic scenes. You know, it needs to like flow really well with what's going on, and yours are. They feel perfect. It's like on their breaths. Like it is good.
Aw.
So I will tell you that. And I'm a stickler, so.
Aw. Oh, I feel all special and warm and stuff. All right. So, what do you have? Give us an idea of what can we expect from you? Do we have anything coming up in 2026? What do we have coming up with Eve Dellinger? What do you have going on? All of that kind of stuff. Because I know we talk about authors, and I talk about this all the time, just because like my brain goes here all the time. We always talk about authors that like to do other things. Like some people are known for like this one thing, and that's all they ever do. My brain is never going to be that way. So I don't know about your brain. Are you always ever going to be doing like paranormal thrillers? What do you have? What do you want to do?
So, one of my side projects, which the book I'm releasing at the end of this summer is the first step in my side project. I am releasing a series of books that they're not interconnected. Well, they are and they aren't. So some of my readers have asked, they want me to go the Sarah J. Maas route and like put tiny little Easter eggs about my other books in my standalones. So I am going to be doing that, and it's something I'm really excited about. So it'll be like a whole supernatural world where there are different subgenres. All of a sudden you'll see their name in there and be like, wait a second, is that from this book? So there is going to be a little bit of that, but the storylines don't overlap. So
Hmm.
the first one that I'm releasing is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I'm really excited about it because it is dark romance. It's between a shifter and a witch, and it has, people say, practical magic vibes, but darker. I'm very excited about this book, but the point of this series is that I'm highlighting actual real urban areas in California that have suffered like huge losses.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that maybe someday, I'm not, fingers crossed, I might become the next Twilight and people will flood these areas and visit these small towns that used to be beautiful and flourishing, because a lot of these towns are like in the middle of these like luscious forests that are like gorgeous and vibrant. And the towns are just completely dead because there's no money. And so I really want to like give back to these areas somehow. And this is like the first thing that I can do because I don't have money yet. So I can't just be like, "Here's some money, let me donate." But I can write about it and hope that people are like, wait, this place sounds fucking gorgeous. Let's take a trip there. So the first book, like I said, is the Beauty and the Beast retelling, with dark practical magic vibes. The witch is actually a stoner witch, and because it takes place in Humboldt County, and Humboldt County is known for the weed industry. They were the start of the weed industry
Okay.
in the world. So she is a cannabis farmer and she's also a bee farmer. So she makes infused canna honey, and she lives with her mom. And she's a super stoner, but she is so sassy. She definitely gives Gwendolyn vibes, but like if Gwendolyn had literally like her filter just got put through a shredder. So she's a very sassy stoner witch, and she has this big fear of cars because she goes through a lot of trauma, and she's definitely like of the land. Like they don't have a TV in their house, and her enemy is a mechanic, and he's a shifter, and he's Grumpy Sunshine. And so she hates cars and he loves cars, and it creates the funniest dialogue. And not only that, but his name is Evander and people call him Van. So the first time they actually meet, she's like, "So mechanic, what's your name?" And he's like, "My name's Van." And she's like, "Your name's Van the mechanic?" And just loses her mind. And he's like, "Yeah, it's just a happy coincidence. But yeah, my name is Van the Mechanic." And then he literally at one point, okay, well, I'm not going to give any spoilers. You have to read and find out. But this book is so funny. It is dark, but the dialogue, people have been comparing it to Hunt and Bryce. Like they bicker, and it's like loving sometimes, but also like, hey, fuck you. I think the amount of times the female MC tells the male MC to in this book, like I don't even know. I've lost track. But it is just sassy and it is a good time. It literally the characters start off. This is the one little spoiler I'll give you because I've posted it on the internet. So it's you're getting a secondhand spoiler. I'm sorry.
Fine with that.
But the first chapter of the book, he rescues her from drowning and she's naked. So she wakes up and she's just completely nude. And she literally like he's trying to help her, but he's kind of being a dick about it. He's like not a noble hero. He's more of like a put out hero that's like, God, this woman's so stupid. Like, why did she almost drown? You know, like, and he's kind of treating her like that. He's being a little bit of a dick. And so she literally is like, fuck you. I take back my thank you. Like, I don't need you. Get out of here. And he's like, you can't even walk. So then he's carrying her and she can't leave. She's just stuck and she's naked. And it is the most awkward, hysterical scene. Like, he's thinking about running her head through bushes, hoping that she gets slapped by weeds and stuff. And like, she's just like sitting there, just pouting, like, fuck you. I didn't want to be saved, bro. Like, it is it's magnificent. I'm so excited for people to read it. It's so different than my first book, also because this one is adult. And it is very spicy, which is definitely a change of pace too, because Eve, while it has some spicy dialogue, I did want to keep it,
Hmm.
in the young adult. Book two, though, I will say with Eve, is a little bit more spicy because the characters do turn 18. So I give a little bit more mature content,
Okay.
but not even like dipping your toes into the mature content you get in my new release.
Hmm.
I won't tell you the name because I'm a stickler for names. It's actually one of my favorite parts of writing is naming my books. Like I love titles. But I will be releasing that in a few months and I will
Oh,
also be
okay.
posting. Well, the title gets released in a few months. The book
Okay.
doesn't come out until late summer. I'm hoping for like beginning of July, but it might be a little bit later.
Okay.
And it's gonna be spicy and funny as hell.
All right.
You're gonna spit out whatever you're drinking. Like there's gonna be food flying out of
I'm
people's mouths.
I'm fine with those. I love
Hopefully no cars
I
crashing.
no, I park my car when I'm reading. I'm one of those weirdos that's just like, I'm just gonna read while I drive. No, that's weird. I do audiobooks while I drive, and I have almost crashed from laughing too hard from a book.
I have from audiobooks. I've almost done that. It's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a TikTok of it. Megan Quinn almost made me crash my car from uh from one of her books, and I was just like, this is dangerous.
Yeah, this one definitely too. I think that I will be giving an audiobook for this book sooner. I am really excited. I do want it to be dual because it is dual narration. I want it to be him and her. I don't want a girl doing a boy's voice or a boy doing a girl's voice. I want to just yeah.
Okay, so you want a
So
duet? Duets are rough.
I do.
Duets are kind of rough. So when do we get to figure out what's going on with Eve? Because we need to know.
Um, so I would like the book to release on the eve of its release date. So I'm hoping for Halloween again.
Okay.
That is the goal. I wanted to do Halloween and then Halloween again.
Okay.
Yeah. And then honestly, I think I might just keep with that trend and release the novella on the following Halloween as well.
Okay. Well, now we know what we're doing on Halloween.
Yeah. And then I'll be breaking apart each one, like I said, with one of the standalones that's in the series that highlights different areas in
Hmm.
California. So I already have three of those outlined. And they're all spicier and all funny. Like not necessarily, I wouldn't call this one is not a rom-com, but the vampire one is definitely more like rom-com. It gives a little bit of like Allie Hazelwood with like mate vibes.
Okay. I do.
So I'm excited for that.
Oh, I just read a novella from her, Hot for Slayer, and
I
oh,
love that book.
oh, I love that book so much. Oh, and it was
It is
such a
so good.
it was such a good duet too. It was the audiobook, top tier audiobook. It was so good. I was loving everything of it because that character was so snarky and fun. It was a good book. Um,
Yes, but also his voice is so it like at first I was like kind of pulled out of the narration a little bit because I was like, wait, what? And then I got so into it. Like
well,
it
it
is
makes
so
it
good.
it makes sense because he is like a
Oh, yeah.
12th
He's a hunter.
century. Yeah, he's a 12th century Russian hunter, so it makes sense.
No, but
But
it is so good. And he's just so heavy and he leans into it so hard, but it's like perfect. It is literally perfect. You have to
mhm,
read Bound now. Have you read Bound
I
yet?
have not yet.
Oh, that's the next one you need. That's a
Mhm.
vampire one by Allie
Oh, okay.
Hazelwood, and it is.
Okay. Guys, Eve Dellinger is Quite Odd by Rowena Raiden. Amazing artist, amazing author. If you haven't picked up her book yet, I don't know what you're doing. You should be picking it up. It's awesome. It is available on her personal website, Amazon. Are you on Barnes and Nobles? Oh,
And
Barnes and
Walmart.
Nobles, and you're on Walmart.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
How's it?
I literally went on there one day and I was like, I'm just gonna like look. And I looked and there it was. It said that my book was on there. And I was like, okay then.
That's awesome. I didn't even know that.
I went, yeah, it's crazy. I know you should check and see if your book is on there. Someone posted and they were like, I've made it big because my book's on Walmart now. And I was like, oh, I want my book to just be everywhere. So then I went and looked and I was like, oh my
That's
it was
awesome.
one of those cool moments. Yeah. So it's literally pretty much everywhere.
Okay,
We haven't got Target yet, no, but one of these days
one of these
it will be there
days.
too. Mhm.
But I want to
I'm
thank you.
coming for
I
Target.
I want to thank you so very much from our book club. We did have a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun conversations about the book, especially towards the middle where it was just like, oh, that's such a sweet book, and then it wasn't such a sweet book anymore. But it was still a very good book, even if it didn't stay saccharine sweet. It was still an amazing book. It was a lot of fun, and I loved it. And I cannot wait for the rest of your content. I hope everything goes well for you, and then the next time we talk to you, it was just like, I don't know, I need to check with my world tour, and it might be very, very tough and not finding. I want that kind of success for you. I want you to have all the success because this is a great book and an amazing story that people should be checking out. So again, guys, Rowena Raiden here. Thank you so very much. Right there, right there. That book right there.
And I am quite odd.
She is quite odd, but she's funny odd.
I hope so. I hope I'm just not that weird author that just laughs at all her own jokes.
But
Yeah.
if the jokes are funny, then you're fine.
Right? I will say, because you pointed out how hurtful it was again, I know a lot of people like to go into my book blind, and that is wonderful. But if you do reach that point where you're like, this is really sweet, I will tell you, go through and check the trigger warnings because I tell people to do that, and then I get immediate text saying, what is body mutilation? And I'm like, well, you're gonna find out. So if you think that it's going too well, just remember. I remember
Just
my first book signing actually really fast. Someone came up and they were asking about it, and I was like, it's very amateur body mutilation. Like they just started. It's at the beginning. We're still
they just
like,
started.
yeah, we had other writers in line. They're actually like, there's a local writer that you've probably seen on him. His name is Dylan DeGrave. He's phenomenal, and we were just cracking up, crying. I'm like, it's very amateur body mutilation. Like they're just getting into it. They haven't owned in their craft yet, so
They're
it's a
just
good time.
they're just practicing. And practice makes
Yeah,
perfect. Sometimes there's a lot more practice than there is to get to the perfect part.
yeah, but don't be, don't be put off by all the cuteness that happens in those first few chapters because you're gonna miss it later on.
Exactly. There's trigger warnings for a reason, people.
There is.
But again, guys, thank you so very, very much for giving us time. Rowena Raiden, find her wherever you find your books, because apparently everywhere except Target, apparently, but everywhere else, you can
Funny
grab
for
your
you to
books,
hear.
and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you, Bob.